Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today, from Diamond Select, we are featuring the Gotham Azrael action figure. So this was from Season 2 of Gotham, Wrath of the Villains. What we have here is Theo Gallivan, also known as Azrael, and this is as portrayed by actor James Frain. As you can see, Diamond Select, they come in these giant packages. It's this huge bubble on this very thick card back. He's beautifully framed by his accessories. We have the alternate masked Azrael head. We have the unmasked head. We have 3 versions of the Saint Dumas Sacred Sword of Sin. And he also comes with a diorama backdrop. On the back of the box, we get a very nice and meaty bio. And let's see if we can get this into focus. There we go. So, Azrael appeared in Season 2, Wrath of the Villains. And then some of the other figures that are available in this wave, there's Hugo Strange and Mr. Freeze. And the cool thing is, if you have the Mr. Freeze figure, which I reviewed previously, you can actually combine the bases to create this like 2-story alleyway. It's really awesome. You have the brick wall, and then you have like the fire escape / balcony. So this is a great figure. If you remember the Fox Gotham series, man, that was years ago. But Diamond Select actually made a lot of figures from the TV show. The show was very popular at the time. It was very well received, and it was kind of cool that, you know, we got some action figures out of it. All right, so let's get started. Alright, so we have one piece of the display base. This is the brick wall. We also have the little brochure catalog that always comes with the Diamond Select figures. Let's take a look at this real quick. Alright, Gotham, Before the Legend. We have a small little catalog. So this is a Diamond Select toy, and it's sculpted out by Art Asylum. If you've been collecting toys long enough, Art Asylum should ring a bell. You know, I think they came into... I think they kind of received a lot of public exposure during the late 90s, early 2000s, when they were doing the Star Trek Enterprise line. And then I think at a certain point, they kind of merged with Diamond Select. And the quality of their figures, they're always amazing. The sculpts are really beautiful. Alright, so Series 1 in Gotham, there's Selina Kyle, Detective Gordon, and we have the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot. Likewise, you could combine the 2 bases from Selina and from Detective Gordon, and you can recreate the same alleyway. I think the only thing different is that unlike this one has like the graffiti with like the Joker smile, whereas this one's is kind of like a plain alleyway. Season 2 had we have Alfred, Detective Bullock, and then we have the Riddler. Series 3, we have Barbara Keene, Bruce Wayne, and Victor Zsasz. So, you know, Diamond, they really went deep with their line of Gotham action figures. So if you're a fan of this show, it's kind of cool that you got some action figure product out of it. And they also made some Gotham City Police pint glasses, which is pretty cool. And if you're a fan of Mini-Mates, you know, go nuts. There's, I think, 3 series of Mini-Mates that I see right here. Alright, so let's get started with this. So we have the the wall to the display base. And then here's the rest of the alleyway. Wow, this is... Alright, so it's kind of nuts. So, this is one of those purchases where, you know, you get a lot of value with this action figure. Unfortunately, this action figure has been out of print for many years now, so you might have to hunt it down on the secondary market. I believe... I found this on eBay maybe like 2 months ago. And I want to say, I think I paid... maybe like $35 to $40, I think, for this action figure, which I think was kind of fair considering that I think initially when this figure was first released at retail, it might have retailed, you know, roughly around that same price point or maybe slightly below that. I think there's a lot of, you know, added value with this display base. It's really awesome. You know, you're not limited to just like using this for like, you know, these Gotham figures. You know, there's kind of like a generic feel to these display dioramas, and you can easily like use it for like a Marvel Legends figure or like a McFarlane figure. You know, they're really well done, really beautiful. For example, I mean, just look at the detail on this guardrail for the balcony. You know, it's very realistic in the way it's painted. It has a very like weathered and like worn down look to it. It's really nice. There's a lot of dry brushing going on here. It's a nice you know, gunmetal with like silver highlights. And then you also get the escapeway ladder for the fire escape. And I don't think this thing's functional like a real fire escape ladder. But nonetheless, it's pretty cool. Alright, so let's try to assemble this real fast. How does this... Where do we begin? So I think... Alright, so I think you plug these pieces into here. Alright, I'm kind of confused because I don't think there's instructions for this. Because I see a lot of peg holes here, and I see the holes I'm supposed to line up for this. But also, don't forget that this is actually part of a larger alleyway. And then I have this piece here. This is the piece that comes with Mr. Freeze. So I believe you connect the two bases. So there's these slots underneath, and there's tabs on top of the Mr. Freeze base. And it looks like you slide these on top. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of disconnect with the color scheme. As you can see here, the Mr. Freeze base has a glossier finish than this top half, but I think you can easily overlook that. Oh, okay, I get it now. Okay, so this plugs in on these upper slots up here. All right, let's try to connect this. Alright, I apologize in advance. It's kind of like, I'm not sure how long this is going to take for me to assemble before we get around to looking at the action figure. But alright, so that's plugged in. Alright, there we go. It's a nice snug fit. And then there's these bracers that go underneath the alleyway. There's a tab right here that these slot into, and then there's some peg holes. So you kind of line it up. I might have done this backwards actually, so. And then there's this over here. So the nice thing is that if you don't have the Mr. Freeze base and you only have the balcony, you could actually relocate the balcony to the lower peg holes down here, and this could be displayed by itself. But if you happen to have the lower half, you know, you could combine the two together. So it's cool that they kind of thought of that in advance, you know. Alright, so this looks, wow, this is wild. This looks great. So here is the display base. As you can see, it's really tall. It measures in at, let's see, about 9.5 inches. So you're getting a really, really sizable display base right here. My only concern is that I think these two pieces, they don't feel like they fit as snug as I'd want. You know, I think part of me kind of worries that if I had this displayed on my shelf with a figure on top, that this might kind of like either bend down or accidentally fall off over a long period of time. An easy solution to that is you can just easily take a zip tie and just thread it through the hole here and the hole here, and then you should be able to hold these pieces together, I think. Or at least that's a solution I would take. And then don't forget there's also the ladder for the balcony, and I think I lost that. Where is it? It's right here, and then this clips on to the side here. Like that. So yeah, this is awesome. This would be such a great display base for any action figure. You know, whether it's the Punisher, the Ninja Turtles, or Spider-Man, it's really cool. And with the Mr. Freeze display base, you even have like these trash cans, and you have this Wayne Enterprises box. So awesome value for this set. Now, let me set this aside. Alright, so time for the main event. Let's take a look at Theo Galavan, also known as Azrael. And we get a lot of cool accessories with this guy. Alright, so I was at a Transformers convention this past weekend, TFCon, and one of the former Hasbro designers had a little panel, a designer by the name of Aaron Archer, and he was talking about for, I think, one of the Unicron figures that they released, and he was talking about how that action figure had, I think, 28 feet worth of plastic ties holding him down in the box, which is ridiculous. And I think he had some crazy statistic, like with all the Unicron figures that Hasbro produced and the amount of plastic ties they used. I think it's some crazy thing, like if you had them end to end, it'd reach from like Rhode Island to like, I think like Colorado or something insane like that. I always kind of find these plastic ties unnecessary. You know, most of the time the figure feels like they're always snug in the tray. You know, at the very least, they should just tie them down by the waist. You know, I kind of feel like all this, you know, it's excess use of plastic. Whoa. So we also have this carrying case for the sword. It comes with the extra head, and there's this weird plastic piece that it sits on, so I don't know where you'd keep this. And then let's remove the swords. As much as I like the Diamond Select stuff, the packaging is like so obnoxious. It's the bubbles are so large. But at the same time, I think that's, you know, part of the you know, sacrifice. You know, if you want all these extra accessories and display base, they need to be like gigantic like this. But it seems like there should be an easier way of like doing this. Right, so I think that's everything. Let me make sure I don't want to accidentally throw out like a an accessory. So we took out the head, the 3 swords, the figure, and the carrying case. And we removed all the elements for the display base. Alright, so let's get started. This review is taking a lot longer than I expected, so I kind of apologize in advance. I didn't realize that the display base would take so long to assemble, nor did I think it would be that hard to take out this action figure. Okay, so let's examine the accessories first. Alright, first off, we have his carrying case for the sword. It's really cool, actually. So we have 3 swords that the figure comes with. This is the Saint Dumas Sacred Sword of Sin. And so since the sword's kind of taped onto the tray, and this figure's been sitting in the case for a while, there's kind of like this sticky residue from the tape holding the sword down. We have 3 versions of the sword. Alright, so we have the sword. We have one version of the sword that's very long. This is to be held by the action figure. We have a slightly shorter sword. This is to be used inside of the carrying case. And then if you remember the show, there's a point in the series where Azrael has his sword broken. So then this is kind of like representative of that. So what you do is you take the medium-sized sword, and then you just, as you can see, it deposits easily into the carrying case. You know, there's kind of like a impression of the sword, and you just put it in and then close it, and it snaps in place. Very, very cool accessory. And then we have the 2 extra swords. Also, you get the masked head of Azrael over there. It's kind of hooded. Has almost kind of like a Quiet Riot, Dr. Doom kind of feel to it. And let's take a look at the action figure itself. So we have Azrael, aka Theodore Gallivan. And this is portrayed by actor James Fran, and the likeness is pretty good. You know, Art Asylum, they're pretty competent when it comes to like sculpting out the likeness of the actors. As you can see here, he kind of has this additional accessory. It's like with the hood down. Really well done sculpt. The detailing on the body armor is nice also. You can see some texturing on the shoulder pads and texture on the clothing material for his bodysuit. If you're familiar with the game Assassin's Creed, you know, this design really kind of feels like an Assassin's Creed character. You know, it's just kind of like a light grayish blue instead of white. So if you're a customizer, you can easily take this and just, you know, make this one of the assassins from Assassin's Creed. You know, if you want to make Altair or Ezio, you know, go for it. He kind of has a somewhat antiquated articulation for the legs. You know, this is a style that we saw years ago with like Mattel. You know, the legs could kick out, but then it's kind of like on a T-hinge for the hip, so it goes outward like this. It's very unsightly, especially like, you know, when you get the leg outward like that. The cape is kind of a very thick material, and it's not very flexible. It seems to add a little bit of weight to the character also. Alright, let's do a head swap. Whoa, the head falls off really easily. Alright, so here's the extra hood piece like I pointed out earlier. And then here's the James Fran head, Theo Gallivan. And then we can display it with the masked Azrael head. You just pop it on. So, and the armor, as you can see, just falls off. The shoulder pad's held in place by a ball joint, so it's actually articulated. This is something that I could see, you know, just falling off all the time. So just a word of caution on that. And this is Azrael with the mask and hood on. It looks really cool. So in terms of articulation, his head rotates. Does he look down? Not so much. He doesn't want to look up because of the hood here. Again, the shoulder pad constantly seems to want to fall off. Let's see if his head will look back with the other head. Yeah, with the other head, you have a little bit more range of motion. As you can see, it looks up. Even though this is actor James Franz, it almost kind of looks like Colin Farrell also from certain angles. Again, the shoulder pad. I'm just going to remove the shoulder pads for now. As you can see, they're kind of troublesome. They don't really want to stick in here. Arms rotate. They go out. Single jointed elbow, and it's pinless, which is nice. Pinless design. There is no bicep cut, which is unfortunate. Rotation at the wrist. He has a cut beneath the chest line, so allows for swivel. No waist swivel, so that's unfortunate. His legs kick out, and then they kick like this. Double pinned knees, as you can see right there, and then ankle articulation. So even though the figure is a little bit dated, especially in the articulation, I think it's still a solid figure. You know, the sculpting alone is really well done. These figures, the Diamond Select, they're more like display pieces, and think of them more like articulated statues than like action figures. You know, even though they do have like the articulation of an action figure, you know, the minute you handle them, they just kind of feel a lot more stiffer, and then the posability, it's kind of limited. So, but nonetheless, I think these are great collectibles. I have a small collection of Diamond Select stuff. I have some Star Trek. I have a bunch of Marvel stuff, and I like the line a lot. I think they produce some really great action figures. They're not as popular as like, you know, Marvel Legend or like the McFarlane stuff, but I think for what you pay, I think the value is really there. And then the sword, you can store it in the back. He has a sheath for it, and it just goes in. So overall, really great action figure. I think this is awesome. And let's see what he looks like with the base. Let me grab that real quick. Alright, so for me, I think like half the value of this action figure is in the display base. So don't forget, this display base is actually from two different action figures. The lower half is from the Mr. Freeze, whereas the top half is from the Azrael figure. And if you can imagine, you know, here he is standing. You know, there's enough headroom for him to stand underneath the balcony. And the figure itself stands in at about 7 inches. So he's kind of almost in scale with some of the more recent McFarlane figures from the DC Multiverse line. With the DC Multiverse line, the action figures seem to be getting a little bit smaller. For example, here is an earlier Batman. This is the Todd McFarlane design one. This came out a couple of years ago, and it's much larger than the current McFarlane figures, but this gives you an idea of the scale. So this figure could easily blend in with this line. Here's the detective. No, this is the Sean Pertwee Alfred figure from Gotham. You know, size comparison. So we have Azrael from Diamond Select. We have Alfred from Diamond Select. And then we have the McFarlane Batman. And like I pointed out earlier, the display base is great for any action figure, not just the Gotham Diamond Select toys. You know, for example, you can easily just display Batman figures with them. Although I do think this figure is a little bit too tall for this, so you can't necessarily stand underneath it. But if you wanted to, you could easily just, put them on the balcony, like that. So yeah, great value for this action figure. Like I stated, this figure came out some years ago, so you might have to hunt them down on the secondary market. When I was hunting this figure down on eBay, I only found this one figure. There's only one seller that had this. It was a seller from up north in Canada. So, this might require a little bit of homework if you want to hunt this guy down. But I think it's well worth the value. You get a very different take on Azrael. This is from the live action Gotham show. You got this cool fire escape balcony deal. And accessories, they're awesome. You get the cool carrying case with a sword. Alternate head. And then, just a bunch of cool things. And I don't know what to do with this. This is for the extra head. You mount it on here. And I guess it's supposed to be some sort of, extra display. But I have no idea what you'd mount this to. So yeah, great value for this action figure. I kind of feel like this is like an advertisement for the Home Shopping Network. This is all the perks you get with this guy. But yeah, it's great value overall. I think I'd give this guy an 8.5 to a 9. Granted, the engineering on this figure is a little bit outdated, especially the articulation. But for a display piece and even just for this little diorama alone, it's a great value. But the thing is, you need to buy the Mr. Freeze figure just to complete this, display base. Alright, so this video ran a lot longer than I anticipated, so I apologize for that. If you stuck it out, thank you for checking out this video. So I hope you found this insightful, and, maybe this is something you'll want to, hunt out in, the near future, because I think it's well worth it. Alright, so let's wrap this up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.